Hey everyone, welcome back to Bros and Shows. I'm your host, Josiah, aka Mahler67. And with me, as always, I got my buddy, I got my pal, I got my brother Austin. Austin, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you and everyone out in the Twitch world?
Hey, I hope they're doing good too. But I had a pretty good day. Hopefully you did too. I totally did not forget to set up the trailer, and it's just playing, and I have to sit here and edit. So awesome, fill space. So, what'd you do today, man? How's your day?
It started off kind of rough. I started feeling kind of like sick in a way.
Oh, COVID.
I
Guess we'll have to
tested.
cancel Christmas. I guess I gotta
Yeah.
stay home and play
Okay,
games.
Christmas is canceled, everyone. Who's gonna have to lead the sleigh? How about Zero? No.
Zero.
So no, I was just like physically worn out, and one of my clients that I work with decided to take a nap, and I was like, whatever, I'm allowed to do it, so I did, and I felt way better. I think it's because I was like lacking sleep a lot because I couldn't sleep lately, and then I felt better. I was like, maybe it's just my body telling me, hey, you need to get some more rest. So
That's a possibility. Sometimes they do that.
But overall, it was pretty good, and this weekend we're gonna be celebrating Christmas together, and we have to weather the storm to come get you. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's something straight out of a movie. You'll get here, we'll get snowed in, we won't be able to leave, then me and you will have to holler around our friend Terry, and then we'll do a Christmas Terry. Oh, Christmas Terry, oh, Christmas Terry. We'll rip off a Community from that.
And as long as Terry doesn't fall out of the back of the Jeep Wrangler, like in Babes in Toyland.
I don't remember that show.
Really?
That movie at all.
That was one of Keanu Reeves' first movies, actually.
Didn't even know he was in it.
Yep,
to me, it was. I don't remember. I think I actually found it kind of creepy and unsettling, so I did not like watching it. So anytime it was on, I was like, well, go and walk into the other room.
Yeah, that was one of Grandma's favorite VHS shows. So we
that's
used to
why
watch
I remember
that a lot.
Is watching it in her little room.
Mm-hmm.
I also remember this is kind of topical because I've been playing Digimon a lot. The first time I ever saw Digimon was at Grandma's. It was after she got done watching everything. She allowed us to watch whatever we wanted, and it was me. I think it may have been you and our cousin Ashley. We were watching, and we started watching Digimon, and I remember specifically turning to him saying, this is dumb. This is just a knockoff Pokemon. And I wasn't exactly wrong, but it was, we all started getting really into it, and that's whenever we started watching it at home. But it was just funny to me that I have that memory of the first time I watched Digimon, thinking this is just a ripoff, because I was such a Pokemon snob whenever I was little. I can still kind of be that way now, but I'm not like a Pokemon superior. I just know a lot about Pokemon. I'm sorry. That's one of my not redeeming qualities, I think that would be. But hey, what can you do, Chef? Speaking of Chef Austin, that's what we watched this week. We didn't watch Chef. We watched a show that you pitched to us called The Bear on Hulu. I've never heard about this prior to it. It was not even something that I was made aware of at all, and you forced me to sit through that. Austin, what put this show on your radar?
So I saw a lot of previews for this show, during around the time, and I'm a huge fan of Jeremy Allen White. Jeremy Allen White is the main character. He is known for Lip in Shameless. He played Lip for 10 seasons of Shameless. He was one of the main characters, and I fell in love with Jeremy Allen White. I thought he did really good as an actor. He has great presence, and when I saw that he was doing a show about a chef, I was like, oh man, I'm in. And then I saw John Brethenroll was in the show.
Who's that?
And I was like,
I
John Brethenroll is the guy that played the Punisher in the Netflix series. He also played Shane in Walking Dead. Most people know him from then. But I was like, wow, this is going to be cool. I really like chef shows. I really like cooking shows, kind of like a drama type deal. And I like drama. So I saw all these trailers for it, and I was like, I have to watch this. And I have to say, and I know this is a bold statement to some people, Jeremy Allen White is up for an Oscar for Best Actor in a Drama Series. And I did not expect the show to be in my top 5 of this year. It's actually my number 1. If you saw my TikTok, I did a TikTok of top 5 shows of this year, and number 1 was The Bear. I felt the show did everything I wanted in a show and a little bit more. And I'm super stoked that that was one of the shows I wanted to kind of end the year off on somewhat. I was like, Josiah has to watch this. Like, Mueller has to watch this show. I don't care. And then there was a surprise cameo that I was like, all right, now he has to watch it. So, yeah, so that's how I watched The Bear. And when it first came out, me and my wife sat down and binged the show because it's only 30 minutes an episode, which you pointed out before. I usually pick 45 to 50-minute episodes.
You do.
A show.
When you pitch this, I'm just like, all right, another 45-minute episode because it's on Hulu. And I checked, and I was like, oh no, it's 30 minutes. Awesome, you surprised me for once.
Yep. Yeah. So you could watch this easily, like within like a couple hours. So, you know, I actually enjoyed my second time watching through. I felt that I missed a lot of things in the first viewing, and I watched the second viewing, and I laughed even more. So, yeah. So, what is your take on The Bear?
All right, well, it was weird that you tried to make me watch a porno about just big, fat, hairy guys. I was weirded out by that, and then I realized
I think you downloaded the wrong show.
I downloaded the wrong show, yeah. No, I watched it on Hulu. I will say it took me a couple episodes to get, like, into it. The first episode only, like, had me because I was just trying to understand what the heck was going on.
Yeah.
What's so special about this, like, these, like, arcade machines? And I thought the whole thing was going to be about them using these arcade machines for business type stuff. And I was like, is this why Austin wanted me to watch it? Because it's like some type of like Scott Pilgrim-esque video game or something like that. That's like all like Austin's kind of humor type deal stuff. And no, it goes away from that relatively quickly. But yeah, like once I started like watching and everything, I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. I still haven't learned anyone's name because literally they do not say anyone's name in this show unless someone is referring to someone in the third person, like outside of the conversation. Yeah. Which does not do me any good to remember people's names.
They use kitchen ethic like a lot because like when you talk to people in a kitchen, you say yes, chef, instead of that person's name. So like Cameron is the name of the main character.
I thought it was
Carmen, Cameron. It's
Carmen,
Cameron.
I don't remember anyone's name except
that's what I'm here for. So I've watched it. Yeah, Rich is the asshole
or Raymond or whatever. Like
Rich is.
And
then Sydney is the sous chef that comes in.
Is she a sous chef?
Yeah, she's like a assistant sous chef. That's what they call him.
Yeah, so like that was a situation of like me not picking up on certain story beats. Like I got that she like used to work at other places. I thought she was like some type of student with a school who needed to do like extra credit work, and so she came to them asking to do extra credit work, and then she kind of got hired on full time because she was relatively good. Took me even longer to realize, even after all the time she spoke about it, that she was trying to prepare a meal to get put on the menu. It's like super delicate and like top of the line and everything of that sort. Took me just as long to realize the relationship between half of them, to understand people's like motives and incentives towards them. And so it's like it just took me a bit to catch things, I felt.
Yeah. No,
and I didn't really catch a lot of the original dynamics. And then here's the one thing I will say about the show. 8 episodes long, about every episode or every 2 episodes, a dynamic in the kitchen changes drastically. Like in the beginning, like the guy Camry or whatever his name is Army is super like harsh towards everyone, and no one likes him. And then by the end of like the first episode, everyone starts liking him, but no one really likes him. And then he's like real nice to the baker guy, and then the baker starts loving him, and then he's real nice to this person, and then they start liking him. And then like it's just it's like every so often they like kind of cut. I will say there were parts in this show that certain characters got instantly cut. Like I was like, nope, they're out. Like I do not care about the redemption story or whatnot. I don't care. The old woman, I forget her name. Ina, she got cut from my character list.
Man,
she got cut. And it's whenever she was like the one girl, again, Sydney, forget her name, was having like the rough time, she purposely turned up the pot to overcook it. And the reason why that's a cut for me is, one, if you're willing to do that to someone you don't know, to spite them, to ruin your like livelihood, I don't want you, even if you are a good person, if you're willing to do that. So that's just too far for me. And then like they tried making it like she started like warming up to the girl all because she was like, hey, you did a good job on this, and she was expecting to get scolded. And I'm like, that what she did does not equate her redeeming herself or like liking the person more. It's like, it doesn't change the fact that you sabotaged a whole prep. Because I've worked in Bruegger's Bagels. Like I was the baker in Bruegger Bagel. I did all that stuff. You know how livid I would be if I came in and found out someone turned off my alarm to know when to flip the bagel and all the bagels got destroyed. Because that would be on me. I would get in trouble with that. Yep. And I would be like, I've been here. I did not hear the alarm. I was prepping everything. She never confesses to what she does. She did. Nor does anything change. And so I'm like, I don't care if she's all nice now. What she did and the drama and the issue she caused set the pavement for the rest of the episodes. Because the reason why the chef was so hard on her is because she seemed to be doing like small things wrong every now and then. And that's the reason why he was like telling her like, not yet, not yet. Man, she got cut really quickly. The pastry cook, the Marcus. He was golden from the second he was on screen. I'm like, man, this boy's charismatic. I like this guy. Same with the older man who like was telling all about this stuff. Like he was great. I liked him a lot. And there's another handful, but we can go into those in more details. I just got off topic to just really vent about that character before for a hot second.
No, I gotcha.
Other than that, I liked the show. I liked it. It took a little bit. It was more comedic than I thought it was going to be. It's not like ha ha ha, they say funny thing comedic. It's more of like situational comedy and dark comedy. The two terminologies I would use to. I don't know if they intended for that. Or maybe they did. Or maybe they did. And but none of it clashed. Like I never felt like the situations were happening that were improper or it didn't make sense. So all that stuff is interesting to me. All right, Austin. Let's talk about it, man.
So one of the biggest things that I love from this show is it did something that I've never experienced before in a TV show, and that is I got anxiety one episode of the show. Like it ridden my anxiety like really bad, and that was actually episode 7. And episode 7 is the one where it's the episode right after where Sydney gives that dish to the random person at the restaurant and she doesn't know it's a reviewer.
Yeah.
And the next episode enters where that reviewer gives them like, what was it, like an amazing review.
Yeah. He
And it ends
basically
up-
like says they're the best place he's ever eaten.
Yeah, and it blew up like the restaurant.
Mm.
And those people weren't prepared for like everything that was about to happen. And that episode, like them yelling at each other, trying to like, like redeem each other, and they're just trying to like hold on to like this restaurant thing, and they're making money and all this stuff. They're just trying to hold on, and it just falls apart. Like once the big chef goes down, everyone goes down with him. And that's exactly what happened. And that episode made me be like just anxious. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't handle this. But there is a subtle like light from that episode that I love. And that is at the end when Cameron or Carmen gets down on his hands and knees and he tries the donut. And he tries it off the floor and he's like, it's good. It's good. And this show, I think, deals with a subject that can be kind of harsh for people, and they do it in a good way in my opinion, and that is suffering from anxiety. And you can see that Cameron is suffering from that because
well, here's the thing. I think you're right. I think the show hits on like all the major
mental
like, health issues, and some like non-mental health, but like disease-based. Like the brother was obviously like depressed and all that stuff, which is why he started doing drugs, which led him to kill himself. And then like Cameron is dealing with like regret and sadness, and I don't really know who Sario is. Sario. There's in episode 8, whenever he wakes up, he's getting a phone call from someone and he chooses not to answer it. And I will also say this: the show did something that I didn't want them to do, but they did it, and I'll say that there. After we're done, but like he's dealing with stuff, the other people are dealing with stuff, everyone's kind of dealing with different like mental problems or issues, and they're all kind of stewing in this restaurant. Because like his cousin Rich is freaking a hot bag of mess, and he doesn't know how to handle his stuff, and then Cameron's a hot bag of mess. The souffle, the assistant chef, she has her own stuff that like she hasn't told people about, but that there's stuff there that she's not about, and all the other ones have stuff too. And I'm sure as the show goes on, they're going to slowly keep revealing different people's issues and how they like come to grips and it's a rough show.
Yeah, it's like it deals with a lot, and it can be rough, but there is some really funny points to the show. It's kind of like a dark comedy in a way, I'd have to say, where like sometimes in the heat of the craziness, someone brings like some laughter to it.
Just the situation's just like absurd.
Yeah,
like in the first episode where all the nerds are around just screaming. What I forget what they like ball knocker or something like that. I forget what it is, but they're all sitting there chanting it, and they're all in like stupor outfit, and they all just start beating the crap out of him for no reason other than him being like calm down. They're just like, let's beat him. I'm like,
beat the shit out of this guy.
Laugh because I'm like, the guy who wrote this episode has never been in a convention to save his life. Because if any of them were in a convention, they know those nerds are the last people who start fighting. They afraid of crap. But everyone else, like that was funny. The kid's birthday was like one of my favorite episodes, just because like I don't know who the like the friend of their father is, but I've seen him in multiple shows or movies even. And so when I saw him, I instantly went like, I know this person. I naturally like this guy.
Oh, you're talking about Oliver Pratt or Oliver Platt? He's the guy with the glasses that loaned him like $350,000.
Loaned his brother 300,000.
Yeah. He was in. I'm trying to think what movie he was in that me and you remember.
I've seen him in a handful of things.
No,
I recognize.
there's
the
so
guy.
much stuff.
And so like that episode was funny, and it had a couple things like with it. Like every episode had something that kind of made me chuckle, kind of laugh at.
Mhm.
And it was just kind of surprising because it was also like a nice little like abbreviate from the more harsher or darker tone show.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's something that I felt like really benefited. Even whenever things were going like horrifically bad, sometimes I was still laughing at like the whole the inspector when they came and everyone was freaking out and doing all that stuff. Had no repercussion for the rest of the year. Like the series.
Mhm.
That seriously made me laugh because I'm like, they had such a big stank of it, and then ain't no one complaining about this. Like no one cares about that scene in that window for you.
No.
It is something that I found hilarious about this show.
I thought them fighting over the hot dog was pretty funny. I thought that was hilarious, and then him trying to put the T-shirt on the hot dog.
Yeah,
I thought was ridiculously funny.
and they pop it, and my brain went like, "Great job! This is what happens. We're gonna go in the basement and get the spare." And I was like,
They have a spare hot dog.
"They have a spare hot dog." Just
yeah.
probably because they fought about it before.
So,
Yeah.
What did you think of the cameo that I told you that was going to be in it?
I liked him.
really-
It was weird seeing him be such a absolute jerkbag, but it also kind of made sense. So I'll be honest, right? Because we've only seen him in his like little flashback dream stuff. There's a side to me that wants to believe that that person does not actually exist.
Hmm.
That it's not actually like a New York souffle place where he used to live. That's like his inner like depression or like his inner thought telling him that he sucks, he'll never be good, and that he's a piece of trash. And that that person is incensed the negative stuff that he portrays to people. Like, because you see him walk up and just be an absolute piece of trash to everyone around him.
Oh yeah.
And he reveals later at the end of season that he was like anyone who came in knew he instantly looked at as like, I have to like tear them down. I have to be better than this person. And I'm like, I wonder if that's supposed to be like a representation of his like self thoughts. Okay, I'll mention it now. That is the one thing that I was frustrated that the show did. Show a flashback scene. When it showed the scene of them all in the kitchen sitting there eating, and then they showed the one dude from The Punisher, and he was talking to them. I was like, oh, cool, that guy's in it. And I'm sitting here watching it and listening to it, and I'm like, okay, yeah. This must be happening off to the side. And then it cuts to the rich guy talking to another girl about it and like doing it, and she's just like, why were you there at 6 a.m. and such like that. I went, that was a flashback. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know who that guy was. I didn't catch that was his brother at all, because I thought they said that they were twin brothers, and he ain't looked nothing like him.
No.
And I laughed at that whenever I found out later when I looked up the dude, that I'm like, oh no, that was supposed to be his twin brother. That's hilarious to me. They look nothing alike.
They don't.
And so yeah, like that was the thing. And because of that, I'm like, now I'm confused at what was flashbacks, which ones weren't. I know for a fact that everything that happens in the kitchen is like in real life, but anything outside the kitchen may be a flashback. Who knows? When they show him at the like help group or anything like that, I'm like, okay, these are all in the present. Maybe
Yeah.
this could be down the road, or this could be this and that. Like it opened too many what ifs to me because everything was kind of jumping around a little bit. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So that was the one thing I didn't like that they did, but it was also nice to see like, okay, the relationship with him and his brother to a certain degree.
Yeah, and so the cameo for people at home was Joe McHale. He played
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Winger in Community. There was another cameo that you really didn't know who that person was, but a lot of other people would know. It's Molly Ringwald. She
The
played in
sister?
16 Candles. No, she was the first person to speak in the like the therapy session things, like the
Oh, okay.
whatever it is. Yeah, she was in it for like a hot minute. She was only in there for like a minute. I noticed her like my second through. I was like, hey, that's Molly Ringwald. I forgot about her being in here. So yeah, it was. The other thing I wanted to say is, what did you think of episode 8? Episode 8 was the one. It was the
Yeah,
season finale.
Yeah, it was season 9. Who? It was a nice episode to the most degree. There was only one issue I had with the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Is that they didn't explain what happened after the last episode.
Yeah.
Like them like getting all those orders and everyone like freaking out and leaving and everything of that sort. When the next episode starts, it's just like, oh, occasional flashbacks to him freaking out and all that stuff, but they don't talk about what happened to all those orders. Did they complete them all? Did they have to refund all those? Like, none of that stuff was answered. It was just kind of like brushed over and continued on. Everyone else in the shop kind of like, hey man, that sucks. Let's keep going. Let's do our own thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then also like at the same time, you had some like odd closures and some doors open up for like the baker and the souffle girl, and like both everyone kind of like liking and accepting Carmi and all that. It was a fine episode. I thought the ending was kind of like weird because it's like, oh, he has a bunch of money in the tomato sauces. And the first thing I instantly thought to myself, I'm like, wait, did he just borrow all that money and then hit it? Like, what's all this money that he has? Like, what's the point of him borrowing all this money if he's just going to hold it? Or, like, that opens up to a bunch of, like, theory-based stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, he borrowed all that money to pay back something, and then he took the money back. Or he borrowed all the money to start something, and then like he's in the process of it and he made some money off of the wrong people, because that's like a theme in the show, is that everyone's connected to the wrong types of people. And his brother didn't actually commit suicide, most likely, and he was killed by the mob of some degree, and they're going to start coming after him and his family. And so he hid all the money and took the bullet to die, so that way they would stop pestering him and possibly his whole family. That's where it all starts kind of going the what if route, and I don't know. Regardless of what happens, that freaking ending is not a happy one. They're not going to start that restaurant that they want. It's impossible. You know why? Because the freaking wife or the sister already says the IRS are after them. Because of this. If suddenly they just start pushing out a bunch of weird cash flow that came out of nowhere, they're going to be like instantly shot down and be like, what's all this money? You're getting taken to jail for like getting all this money. So they're going to have to start a laundering scheme of some sort, which means they have to start funneling it through, which there's a side of me, and this is what I'm going to say now. If this show continues, which I assume, because it says season 1 specifically everywhere I look, so it's probably planned, this show may become like the new Breaking Bad to you, where it begins with like him trying to be a souffle chef, doing all this stuff, and then he slowly has to keep making bad deals or bad things, and his restaurant's going to slowly become like this drug trafficking thing, because he was completely against everything until he needed it, and he was okay with it, like with the whole like money with Rich and him selling the cocaine or whatever he was off to the side. He didn't like it, but then whenever it was benefit to him, he used it. And I'm like, that's what the show is probably going to turn into. It's him going to want to turn it into something good, and then he gets lumped in with the wrong people, and that family that's in there is going to get hit.
Yeah,
that's my thought. That's my mad random.
Now, what I was trying to talk about was the last episode, the whole monologue that Jeremy Allen White did about how he his
About
whole
the
story
brother?
would be
Yeah.
that was, I think that was one of the best monologues I've seen in a while. And it felt like Jeremy Allen White in the show, like when he did that monologue, made me feel like that was really his brother.
Mhm.
And I really enjoyed, and I think he did really well. And he deserves that Oscar nomination that he has because of this show. I think he did really good with it. You know, I think I'm with you on the whole like tomato sauce thing. I had to rewatch it like about 3 times.
How the
to
heck
get
did you
whole
get in
concept
there?
out of-
Those were completely sealed. What do you do?
That's what I
Like
was
pop
saying.
them off and then reseal them? Like, I don't know. It doesn't. There's so many questions, right?
Yeah, there is so many questions, and those will be answered because 2 weeks after The Bear came out, Hulu renewed it for a
course,
second season.
of course.
And it comes out this year actually, coming up. Well, this year coming up.
2040.
I think it's 2023. Will be, I think it's March or June. I think that they said that the new season would be out of The Bear. So I'm pretty psyched about that because there's a lot of questions I want answered. That, and you know what was one of the weirdest scenes in this whole show is when the repair guy at the last episode starts talking to the video game machine.
Yeah. And it responded back, and I'm just like, wait, is he high or am I high? Like, what's happening here? I'm confused now.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things like that where occasionally something happened and you're just like, wait, what is that?
I think it's that person's mental state, like what they're trying to do. Because
Maybe.
like the last episode when Jeremy Allen White, it starts off of him like in a cooking show, and then like things start disappearing off of his like kitchen things, like where's my stuff? And then it just turns into this whole big like comedic thing, and there's a bear like sitting there watching a show, which is my kind of weird. I like that kind of weirdness.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
it definitely like the second it started happening, I'm like, okay, yeah, dream again. We're back there again.
Yeah.
The bear. I totally think like the bear is supposed to be a symbolism for his like rage and anger, and that's like everyone in their family is a bear, and so because they all have very bad anger issues.
Yeah.
They just yell and attack each other all the time. I'm like, I could not have survived in that family.
No.
And when he said he like left and like separated himself from everyone in the monologue, my brain went, yeah, I probably would, and I wouldn't have looked back because hate to say that relationship you have with like your friends, super toxic, like
yeah.
bad toxic,
Mhm.
and it's not.
And the only
great,
person that's really in his corner is the guy that he like beat the crap out of, which is Pete. What was it, like his sister's husband?
Oh yeah.
Like he is so astounded by him. Like he's like, oh yeah, I'll do anything you want, man. Like when the freezer breaks,
people are a piece of trash to Pete, and
Yeah.
I get that Pete is a little bit of like a square is the best way I would say it.
an outsider of like Chicago.
Well, what I mean by a square is like he's like everyone else is like, here he comes, freaking Pete. But the funny thing is like he's not that bad of a person. Like even whenever Rich is just like, oh, of course you're a Cubs fan. He's like, yeah, who doesn't like the Cubs? And he's like, I bet you can't even name the first baseman. He's like, yeah, it's blah blah blah. And he was like, dang. And I'm like, yeah, you assume things on him because you don't like him because of how he dresses and like attitude. But obviously this person was good enough to win the heart of his sister. So he has to have something to him that you guys are refusing to see, some odd reason. And it frustrates me because he just gets kind of like a bad rep, and he helps them out constantly. And the one guy said it like best. He's like, he doesn't like him because it seems like he's work on them. Okay, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah,
It's just funny how everyone's like borderline.
mean to Pete. Yeah.
Well, no, like borderline criminal. Like everyone in that
Oh,
place is
yeah.
like a criminal. Because like
Yeah.
anytime something goes wrong, they're just like, we need to call the cops. Don't call the cops. Like everyone screams it,
Yeah.
and it's like, what is going on that they all don't want to call the cops? And I know the one guy, Rich, doesn't want to because he's like a drug dealer and he doesn't need people to like look into that. I assume other people are doing things because no, stop that, Molly. Because they don't want that either. So I'm like, I don't know what's going down. And so yeah, that is one thing I do want to question about. Who do you think shot, or not even just who, but why do you think someone shot at their place?
I think it was a dispute. I think it might be like my opinion is I think it might be Rich's one of his friends.
Okay.
Like he owes
one
money
of the
to.
people he owes money to. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's that.
That's a interesting thought. I think that's what they want you to go with, because that's what the whole conversation was happening up to that point. You know who I actually think it may be? I think it may be the souffle chef, the girl. Because when that gets shot, she's the one who's like looking out the window or whatever. And that shot is done like I have to rewatch it to just confirm, but how that shot is shown with like the bullet hitting and it being like lined up with her. And her reaction to like everyone else was just like, oh, come on, what the heck? But to her, she was like frazzled by it, by some means. And I'm not saying like this is like a thing. I'm just saying like they framed it in a way to make you kind of like, oh, it's Rich because he's the one doing all the bad stuff. Like he's the one who's connected with all those people as well. And then I'm just like, why did they frame it that way to make it look like it was pointing at her or in her direction? Because she obviously has a past that we don't know about, but she seems to be like a very smart and intellectual person. Yeah. I would assume that like she's like a great person. She's not doing any of that stuff. But we also don't know about past. We also don't know about like Carmy, like what type of stuff he was into.
Yeah,
because
we only know that he was like he left and became an award-winning chef, and then came back because his brother left him a restaurant.
Yeah, like why is he come back? Just because the brother leave him a restaurant, he just uprooted himself to come back? I don't know. I feel like that's a open-ended thing that they can place into anyone's court and be kind of okay with. Here's the thing, and this is what I thought they were going to do, and I'm so happy they didn't do it. I thought it was going to be revealed that it was the souffle chef, and at the end of the scene of them in her house with the one friend, and Marcus, she has him come over, and they're all good, and he's like, I'm going to try making amends because I like that place and I want to keep working. I overreacted. She's like, I don't know that. I thought they were going to leave and something was going to happen. He was going to like take like a bullet for her, and they were going to end it on a cliffhanger of like the person who shot the place was after her, and he's now in the crossfire. And I thought that was something they were going to do, and I was going to get very upset because I freaking love the Baker. The Baker's the best character. Like I love that guy. We knew us protect him with everything we got.
Marcus makes
I love him, dude. Now, the second he got told like he can start making things and like being creative, he goes all out. Like he everything around the room. He has all
I like
the
that
different
whole
stuff.
Talk he had with Cameron and Sydney about how to make this consistency of the Jell-O to be a gummy consistent. And he's like, yeah, one of the chefs stayed up for days and found out. And then like she's like, it's veal fat. Veal fat renders when it's cold. And like I love that talk. I love kitchen lingo. So like when I hear stuff like that, it is awesome. And I'll tell you this because you probably don't know this, but since I am a kitchen kind of kitchen guy, the ferment station that he is making is an old school ferment station. I've only seen that one time in a kitchen, and that is amazing. He's using a low heater to to heat up that area, kind of like a greenhouse effect. And then he's using, what was it, like saran wrap? I think that's what he was using, saran wrap.
Yeah, he's using some type of
plastic
wrap or something.
Yeah, he's using like a. It's called was it a pan slider tray, where it's just like these things that they put the pans in to slide. Like they put bread or stuff. You've probably seen them at Subway if you've ever been there. Like they put the pans in there.
Mhm.
He's using those to ferment
It's just
the
a
fruit.
rack. It's just a
Yeah.
rack on wheels. We use them at burgers all
Yeah.
the time too.
Yeah. So like I was really impressed that they went that kind of way to get fermentation from like an old school fermentation thing. That and I knew the mixer was going to be a big thing. Because like when they brought that up like the first episode, I was like, that mixer is going to do something. And yeah, he gets behind on his cakes and he throws all the ingredients in and he puts too many ingredients in and it flips the breaker.
Yeah.
Which is
Which-
a good episode.
I think they forgot about a thing that they said in the first episode.
Hmm.
Because they specifically said don't turn off those games
Games, yeah.
because once they go off they won't come back on.
Well, they don't know if they'll come back on. That's what she says.
All right. Well, the fact that 3 out of 3 came back on,
Yep.
I'm like, ain't
Turn
nothing
'em
to
off.
worry about. Turn
Turn
them
them
off.
off.
And obviously
with
they didn't make enough money. It was funny though. It would have been funny. I would love to see like an edit of the show where it just begins with them being like, we're going to make all this stuff for all these people. It's like, no, dude, let's just make the house spaghetti. That thing saved us time and time again. And then they make the house spaghetti and then he finds the money. He's like, what the heck? Run, Tile, the bear. Here's the one thing I'll say though. That makes that scene a little more understanding. Whenever he said like anytime we would make the spaghetti, we would always come in with cash. It wasn't that the spaghetti was selling so much. It was because every time he would open one, he would get like all that money, and he would basically like make it like, oh, we made all this money today.
Yep.
But it was really the money in the thing, and so it's
Yep,
like
it was just money.
that's like a fun little thing that they connected on, and I was like, cool.
Yep.
I would love to see more stuff like that in the
Now-
future.
Now, one thing that did irk me about the finale actually
Okay.
was them being very messy with the spaghetti.
Yeah,
sauce.
that was also annoying too.
That irks
Yeah.
me so bad. It's like one of my pet peeves to like have things cleaned a little bit, but like there was a point where they tossed some spaghetti sauce, some tomato sauce on the clock that was on the opposite wall, and it like made me go, oh gosh, I hate that.
Yep.
It was awful.
There was a
And-
handful of things like that where I was like, come on, stop this. We are better than this, people.
We are better than this, people.
Please, or at least I
They're
hope we're
done
better
on the
than
floor.
this. Yeah,
Or her grabbing the, what was it, like the veal fat at the top, and she was like tiptoeing.
That
She's like,
was-
I got it. That one frustrated me a lot because I was like,
That-
but that's a real thing. Like people do that shit.
no, they
And-
don't, because you know why? Because they're not allowed to. Because here's the thing, when I worked at Burgers, right, we had a top shelf policy, and this was not our policy. To be frank, this was a OSHA slash what do you call it? You have OSHA, who's like the health and labor people.
Yeah,
It's like the FDA or whatever.
yeah.
And they're like,
Food and
you
Drug
can't-
Administration.
If the shelf is above your height, you cannot
Mm-hmm.
pull stuff off. You have to use a stand of some sort. The fact that they don't have a stand in there is an OSHA violation. That
What
would
do
have
you
been brought
expect?
up during that would have been brought up during the inspector episode. She would have brought that up. If they would have just brought that up in that episode, it's like, you don't have a stool in the back for people to grab off the top shelf. That would then set up that episode, and I would have been okay with it. Also, oh man, I don't think that there is a lot of people in the show that are like bad or horrible people. I do think there's a lot of people being like pieces of trash or being unreasonable in certain situations, and that makes me upset. Like, I love the pastry guy, but he was not reading the room at all. He did not care. and he was not working and he was just doing his thing. Grant, I get you're super excited for what you found out and you did and you wanted to take it to it. He gets upset and he quits because of how that guy reacted. And my honest thought process is I'm like, hey man, you should have read this room. He's been good to you this whole time, and one time he's having a mental breakdown. You can see him actually having a mental breakdown, but because he's not paying attention, he does not care. And then he views himself as the victim because he did that. I was upset with him at that. Granted, he said that he wanted to go and make amends. They don't really make amends. They just kind of see each other later on, and they're just kind of like, all right, man. He's like, hey man, I'm sorry for what I did. It's kind of a chef
respect.
But that's not amends. There was unneeded conversation that needed to happen. Like they needed to say something and like move on. And then like the girl is like, she doesn't turn off the thing. She does something that causes this spike, this issue, this problem to happen. And all this stuff goes, and she breaks down and she's just like, not my problem, see you later, good luck, and leaves. And I was like, what type of person does that? Like, I can understand this is not a winnable situation. Instead of them like sitting there being like, oh no, it's an unwinnable situation, F you, see ya, good night. She should have been like, look, we can't do all these orders as much as we want to. We should start refunding the people we can and only making what we're able to do within the time. That's what we should do to handle it. And instead, she basically said, screw this, and left. And the whole place, for all I know, burned down. Like, freaking everyone hates their life. And I'm like, why? And I'm not even going to talk again about the Lisa girl or whatever her name is, who like burned product just to spite one person.
Yeah.
I won't talk about how the souffle chef was a jerk bag to everyone after they took her onions, and it's like, look man, it was a joke. And I'm like, I get it's a joke, you're overreacting because of the onions, because of how other people are treating you, but you're taking on the people who treat you nice, not the people who's mistreating you.
Yeah.
Learn to outcove correctly. You don't attack the people who are nice to you when other people be mean to you. That's not how this works. Grow up.
Yeah, Tina did this, but Marcus, go screw yourself.
Exactly. and then like the whole cousin or whatever being unruly.
Rich.
That first episode, I said in my head, gone. I don't care if you're my cousin or whatever. You are disrespecting me in front of my employees. You are not listening to what I'm saying. You're not caring about what I'm saying. You're fired until you learn that I'm the head chef. You listen to me. And then the fact that like whenever he's like, hey, can someone help me? He's like, it's not my problem. I'm not the blah blah. I'm just like, these are the type of people that frustrate me, where the whole time they're fighting you tooth and nail, and then when you need them, they're just like, oh, I'm not doing what you want me to do. And it's like, hey, you want me to start like treating you as an equal? You help me during these situations, because then I will see you as like, hey, look, you do good, valid input. You help things out. Thank you. I see you closer. I don't know. There were so many moments like that in the show.
Oh no, I was completely like that. But I do like Cameron's response the one time where he's like, well, if I ran this kitchen, he's like, well, if you ran this kitchen, well, if it was your restaurant, why didn't he leave you the restaurant?
Yeah,
I was like, oh, like, it's true.
I mean,
they're being childish. Like, yeah, kind of. They're just being big old babies. Yeah.
It was the frustrating part about the show. And I liked the show. It was a fun, good show. I will never drop that down. I enjoyed it. I'll be excited for the second season. I would like to see where they go from here, and I would like to see them turn the place into a spaghetti restaurant, which I think that's what they're aiming for now, which is funny to me.
It's called The Bear.
Oh, my light just is flickering this whole time. I've been trying to avoid it, but then it just actively turned on. Yeah, I don't know. I like the show. I liked it a lot. I wouldn't mind watching it more. It was frustrating at some points, but it didn't make me want to turn off the show, because I did think that the main character, Camry, held a lot to the show. Like his like perseverance and like stuff. It made me enjoy him still.
Oh man, that, and I like the humor a lot. I think the whole ectoplasm thing where
I knew that was going to happen when the guy
I
threw
did
it back
too.
on top and didn't close it. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
could
Yep.
you be any more obvious?
Yep, that
I
was
did-
pretty obvious.
I did
but
like the
I
guy's
liked his-
response whenever like he looked up. He's like, "Oh crap! Did we kill them all? I think they're just sleeping." No, I like this better. Good job.
There was when Rich is like, he's like, yeah, could you get the ketchup? And he's like, who's gonna put ketchup on a fucking hot dog? And he's like, children.
No. He's like,
Children.
what type of piece of what type of a-hole will put ketchup on a hot dog? It's like children put ketchup on hot dogs. And he's just like, well, they're a-hole children. And I also laugh because I eat ketchup on hot dogs, and I understand that people hate me for it. I get
Oh
it.
yeah. No,
But
no, my
it's
wife.
just something that I did when I was little that I haven't grown out of.
Well, it's like one of those things that like you grow out of, like food wise. Like I actually don't really like ketchup on a hot dog anymore. I understand why people do, because it is a sweet. It's like a tangy sweet, and I get that.
Here's the thing. I like ketchup on hot dogs only when it's ketchup mustard on the hot dog. The second any other condiments get on that hot dog, I no longer want ketchup on it.
Mhm.
Like if
No,
relish
no,
is on
no.
it, don't want ketchup.
Or onion,
If onions,
green
peppers, or anything, don't want it. And that's one thing I will say about like Chicago. When me and Matt and Postway went out there for World News Tonight, we got one of those like famous hot dogs, and they dunked it full of stuff, and they put mustard on top of it. And I ate. I'm like, this is fantastic. This is great. This is not that. This is. I love this. This is not how I would prepare a hot dog all the time, just because it takes a lot of prep for each hot dog.
Mhm.
And I'm a lazy fat guy, and I want more hot dogs.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like, a lot of the food that they were doing is like food that I've made. Like, they did like a pork belly sandwich,
Mhm.
which I love. Making, barbecue pork, like pork shoulder and stuff like that, and then putting peppers and stuff in it. Oh, it's so good.
I will
But-
say there is one thing about this show that I realized. You know how they say you have like sensory things that if you smell or feel or whatever, it'll take you nostalgia places? There's one thing that started happening when I was watching the show that suddenly like it was like ASMR to me, because I was watching it at work, like finishing up, and it was the episode where she was dicing vegetables. But before she started cutting the carrots, she had to like peel them. And the sound of that peel, like over and over again, hit a sensory thing in my head for some reason. And I just got taken back to when we were little, and mom and dad would be like, we're making we're doing turkey dinner tonight or whatever, or no, we're it's Thanksgiving, so we need to peel all these potatoes. And it's like, you can't need to be doing something, you can't just be playing video games all day. And so come down, we just sit there with potatoes, just hearing the little rattle of the blade thing going off.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but it just kind of hit me nostalgic. That, and possibly because you ruined me emotionally whenever you sent me a TikTok about Fox and the Hound. I don't know what it is, but that scene still gets me. And I was vulnerable at that point, and it all happened. And Molly keeps trying to get into food, so I'm going to hold her. But yeah, that's my thing. I that legitly like shocked me.
Yeah. So I'm glad you liked it. I still consider it my favorite show this year. One of the best shows of this year. But since we're wrapping up, do you have anything else you want to say about The Bear?
No, it was a good show. I enjoyed it. I liked it, and I can't wait for next season.
Yeah.
What about you? Anything?
No, I think it's perfect, and I hope Jeremy Allen White gets that Oscar. He deserves it. I think he did really well on this show. So, yeah. If you guys haven't watched The Bear, you should go ahead and watch it. Do yourself a favor.
Well, if they're watching the show and they haven't watched The Bear, hurt their self.
You never know.
They may like it more now. Who knows?
Yeah, never know. So next week, we are actually going to be doing a different. We're kind of steering away from our normal thing. We like to do a Christmas special, where we watch. There's 2 Christmas specials that we actually been wanting to watch. You've watched one of them. We've watched both of them. That one. Well, I've watched both of them. You haven't watched one of them.
Yeah.
And we're going to do Murderville. Who killed Santa?
The Netflix did a special for Murderville, the improv murder show that we reviewed a while ago, and we thought, hey, let's talk about that. And at the same time, Disney Plus did a Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special as well. And so we thought to ourselves, hey, let's just do an episode of Christmas episodes. And so since next week is going to be the week of Christmas, we're going to be a little busy. I figure a lot of people will be busy for their holidays. We're going to do a Christmas episode. We're going to do the Christmas specials of Guardians of the Galaxy and Murderville, both together at once, because I don't know if they're long enough to make a whole episode out of each one, so we'll just do the 2. And maybe next year we'll do the Star Wars Christmas special or something like that. I don't know. We'll figure that out when that happens. But we'll do that next Wednesday? What's next Wednesday?
It'd be next
Wednesday is the 28th. I'm cool with that.
It'd be after Christmas, but everyone would have a chance to watch it during Christmas time. So if you need something kind of nerdy or kind of
recover from your relatives,
watching the same old Christmas story movie or Christmas Vacation or Home Alone or any of those.
You're starting a new tradition of watching Violent Night. Perfect time.
Actually, that just came out on digital today, and I picked it up.
Already?
Yeah, that was their surprise Christmas gift to everyone.
That's awesome. I'm totally down for that. Heck yeah.
Yeah, I watched it. I bought it because I was like, I like that movie. You like that movie. I would totally be down to watching it again. So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're doing next week. We thank you all so much for tuning in. Allison, thank you for joining us as always. And thank you all so much for stopping by.